Get ready, Rocky Top. A new season is here. A new coach, a new attitude, and a fan base ready to see a winning team take the field.
I think right now Josh Heupel needs to make this program, and especially his players, believe. And I think with a fireworks display at Neyland, that would be a great first step.
So let's go, Orange and White Nation. It's time to talk fall football. Sponsored by your Greater Knoxville Honda dealers.
A live look inside of Neyland Stadium. Welcome into the Orange and White Nation 2021 Kickoff Special. I'm Tim Owens alongside Kellyanne Stitz. Reese Van Haften, he'll be joining us in studio here in just a little bit. Kellyanne, we're about an hour out to kick off.
That's right. The Vols will open their season at Neyland Stadium at 8 p.m. where they take on Bowling Green, and that's when a new era for Tennessee football will kick off. That's
right. The Josh Heupel era kicking off tonight. Coach Heupel, he said in the offseason he wanted to change the culture here in Knoxville. And he has a chance to start that change tonight and get the Vols back into those winning traditions.
After 3 years as head coach at the University of Central Florida, Josh Heupel was hired to take over the Tennessee program in late January.
Just excited to be a part of the Vol Nation, Vol family.
Heupel was hired in part because of his close relationship with Tennessee Athletics Director Danny White. They worked together at UCF.
The more I visited with, and I say this with the utmost amount of respect, with candidates and just vetted the very best coach, I kind of realized that the best option is the guy that I've been working with for the last 3 years.
But it was Heupel's offense that pushed his name to the top of the coaching ranks. In 3 years in Orlando, the Golden Knights had one of the most explosive offenses in major college football, averaging more than 42 points per game.
It starts with playing harder than your opponent for longer. The tempo, the pace at which we play, that is the identity. Having fun is the result of that.
Fast forward 7 months, and that explosive offense makes its debut under the lights at Neyland Stadium.
Every year is a different journey. This is week one of this journey, this season for us. Excited to go kick it off, but certainly, I don't know if butterflies is the right word, more anticipation and excited about the opportunity.
An opportunity Coach Heupel hopes to take advantage of starting tonight.
Josh Heupel has a 28-8 record as a head coach at UCF. Those 28 wins, Kellyanne, trails only 8 coaches in FBS over those 3 seasons.
And looking at tonight, the Vols starting quarterback, a transfer long speculated through camp, was made official earlier this week.
Yeah, we'll see how he kind of pans out tonight in his first career start at Tennessee. But first, let's take a look to see how Joe Milton became the starter.
The Vols opened fall camp with a 4-man competition for the starting job under center.
Went into a completely blank slate. Literally, those guys split 1s, 2s, and 3s as we went through camp.
The battle began between Virginia Tech transfer Hendon Hooker.
The open competition will boost everyone's game because everyone's going to have to bring their A game.
Sophomore Harrison Bailey.
Decisions are easy, and all you really just got to do is shot back and play ball.
Michigan transfer Joe Milton.
No pressure. I don't see pressure.
And redshirt sophomore Brian Maurer.
You know, one thing I love is competition. It's something I feel like I thrive under.
As camp continued, the reps started to dwindle, and so did the competition, leading to the departure of Brian Maurer.
I just had a conversation where we were at that point in training camp, and ultimately he decided that he wanted a different opportunity for his future.
While the coaching staff consistently tipped their hat to all 3, the players noticed a difference working with the strong-armed Michigan transfer.
They all really throw the same, except for Joe. He's a different, but how do you describe him? Like a bullet.
He was consistent and consistently getting better the whole time. And I really saw me and Joe's chemistry kind of develop after the first week.
Despite missing the spring, Milton separated himself from the pack.
His grasp of our offense in a short amount of time, the growth during the middle portion of training camp, his acceleration in what we're doing, some physical attributes, decision-making.
And on Monday, solidified his status as a starter.
You know, at the beginning of training camp that we thought we'd have a starting quarterback by game week. Joe Milton will be our starting quarterback.
Milton spent the past 3 seasons at Michigan. He made 5 starts for the Wolverines last year. In 14 career games, Milton completed 57% of his passes, totaled over 1,100 passing yards and 156 rushing yards for 8 total touchdowns.
But Joe Milton, he's got a cannon. We're going to get to see that on display tonight. Now, after a 3-7 season, a coaching change, a mass exodus to the transfer portal, what would be a successful season for Josh Heupel and the Vols? That's just one of the topics I tackled when I had a chance to talk with SEC Network analyst Paul Feinbaum earlier this week. You and I talked in January before Josh Heupel was hired, after Danny White was hired. You said you weren't sure this program could recover from another disaster, and that this was the most important hiring process in UT football history. Is that something you still believe?
I do, because you just can't keep missing, and everyone knows the history. There's no reason to regale the audience and what's happened since Philip Fulmer left as a head football coach. But you reach a point where fatigue really does seem to set in, and that's from the fan base. And I think Tennessee fans have been good and patient, and they've gotten behind this hire. To what degree, I don't think we really know yet. But it does need to work. Now, does it need to work with a national championship? No, it just needs to work with progress, with the team getting better, with looking better, and ultimately, being respectable again.
Josh Heupel, I mean, a lot of people know him, but he hasn't coached on the big level for a long time at this point. Do you think this maybe was the right hire?
You really don't know, and you probably won't know Thursday night. I mean, we're not talking about a Titanic matchup here, but pretty soon you will start to get a sense of it. But I think he's passed the most important test, and that is, fans believe in him. They believe he has a quarterback. They believe points are going to be scored. So I think the measuring stick for this year's Vols is going to be a little bit different. Wins and losses matter, but I think what this team looks like matters as well.
Here in Knoxville, you've got fans that think they're going to win 3 games this year, and then you have fans that think they're going to win 10 games this year. Is 6-6 would 6-6 be a successful season for Josh Heupel this season?
I think 6-6 would be okay. For this reason, the schedule is relatively manageable. This is not a really ferocious schedule. This isn't a couple of years ago when Oklahoma was on the schedule, or even before that, Oregon. I mean, the key game is Pittsburgh, and it's at home, and I think it's winnable. So to me, that is a defining game for this year. If Tennessee can beat Pittsburgh, then bowl eligibility comes into play, and maybe a winning season comes into play.
One last thing. Are we going to see the Josh Heupel offense from UCF, from his time at Oklahoma, his time at Missouri, right out of the gate against Bowling Green? Are we going to get to see some fireworks?
I think so. And not that he's asking me for advice, or anyone is for that matter, but I would light it up. I would give the fans something to be excited about, to believe in. I would send them home Thursday night saying, you know what, I don't know what we're going to do this year against Georgia or Florida or Alabama, but man, we look great tonight. We haven't been able to say that. The Pruitt years were a blur, and they were also very boring offensively. And I think I think right now Josh Heupel needs to make this program, and especially his players, believe. And I think with a fireworks display at Neyland, that would be a great first step.
You heard it.
Yeah.
Paul Feinbaum wants them to light up the scoreboard and make a statement.
I'm sure they'll be able to do that tonight. Well, coming up next, the sheriff's stamp of approval. Why Peyton Manning has bought into the hype. Plus, we're celebrating 100 years of Neyland Stadium. That's all coming up after the break. Stick with us.
Look, it's his first year, so everybody's got to be patient, but I'm on board, and I'm pulling hard for him.
Peyton Manning seems to believe. Welcome back to the Orange and White Nation 2021 Kickoff Special.
The sheriff paid a visit to his old stomping grounds a couple of weeks ago, giving his stamp of approval of Coach Heupel. Manning gave high praise to Tennessee football's new leader. The two crossed paths before this year, seeing Heupel go from an elite quarterback to a head coach responsible for orchestrating high-scoring offenses, something he expects to see from the Vols this season.
I like Coach Heupel. I've known Josh through the years. Certainly remember him as a player, and I've visited with him before when he was at University of Oklahoma. sharp football mind. It's an exciting offense, I think, and so obviously we got a lot of new players and got some young players, and it'll be somewhat of an adjustment still, but I think it's going to be a fun offense to watch.
Manning said he thinks the new offense will be aggressive and that he's looking forward to watching and cheering on his alma mater.
I bet he is. Now, a new era, we've been talking about it. A new era begins tonight for Tennessee football, but this morning, the university took a little time to honor the past.
They did. We're celebrating 100 years of Neyland. The year-long celebration kicked off with a new addition to the stadium that honors the past and 4 BFLs who paved the way for others to succeed.
The University of Tennessee honored 4 trailblazers who made football history in orange and white. Condredge Holloway, the first black player to start at quarterback on an SEC team.
Quarterback Holloway fades and throws a long pass to Stanley Morgan.
Lester McLean, Tennessee football's first black player and first black SEC player to score a touchdown.
You've given us reality that only we could have dreamed about.
Knoxville native Jackie Walker, the SEC's first black football All-American. And T. Martin, the first black quarterback to lead an SEC team to a national championship.
Down the sidelines is caught.
Their legacies now live forever in front of Neyland Stadium.
I'm overwhelmed.
Brought to life by world-renowned sculptor Brian Hanlon.
We're telling a story about a school, and I want that to be clear, to learn about the history of Tennessee football and the importance and the meaningfulness of these pieces was really an honor to be a part of.
A game-changing moment in time preserved in bronze.
All of these statues hopefully are learning tools and help educate the fan.
Trailblazers, now immortalized outside of Neyland, inspiring others to continue to forge a new path.
Fans will get to experience new and old traditions for game day. We showed you earlier during our newscast, the Vol Walk is back. A new LED light show is also going to happen at Neyland Stadium tonight.
And fireworks from the roof of the north end zone, and I will give my all signs are above the portals entering each section, so fans will have their own running through the team moment, which I'm sure they'll absolutely enjoy. But for now, let's send it to studio for Reese.
All right, welcome back. I'm here with John Pennington of the Sports Source. You can catch that 11 a.m. on Sunday right here on WATE. You know, big season upcoming, Josh Heupel's first year. What do you think the offense will look like under Heupel?
Well, the hope is it's looking a lot more fluid and a lot more exciting than last year's offense under Jeremy Pruitt. I think that when you look at his track record, what he did in Missouri, when he arrived there in his first year, they didn't have a lot of talent. They were terrible the year before he got there. And yet they wound up tearing it up. In the SEC, they put up big numbers in his first year, put up even bigger numbers in his second year. I think that his track record looks good. I like the fact that when they went out to hire this coach, they found a guy who is more X's and O's than Jimmy's and Joe's, because with the NCAA stuff overhead, just where your program's been, I don't think you're quicker to success by going out and saying, yeah, we're going to out-recruit Alabama. Maybe you get there. Maybe Heupel in a couple of years is at that spot. But right off the bat, I think you're going to need somebody who can scheme things up. His history says he can. They lost so many bodies this year. Is he going to have enough talent to scheme it up like he did at Missouri? Maybe, maybe not. But I do think the offense is going to be night and day different from last year's.
Now, last year, not as fast as what it's going to be under Heupel, right? What do you expect to see position-wise to stick out this year?
Well, I think everybody's going to be watching the quarterback play. Tennessee has had such a tough time with quarterbacks in recent years. Jarrett Garantano, you say that name and people still get the shakes. And it wasn't just him. They went through 3 or 4 guys a year, it seemed. 5 times in the last 10 years they have had to start at least 3 guys, which is just an insane number. I think that with quarterback play, that's the one symbol, it's the one takeaway from Heupel's offense is the fact that he simplifies it. A lot of times you got rollouts. A lot of times you got a guy that's only having to read half the field. They take advantage of his athleticism. They take advantage of the receivers outside and the speed and the deep ball. It's just going to be a simpler offense, I would think, but that doesn't mean a weaker offense by any stretch. I just think he simplifies it for his players, and it makes it a little bit more of a let's throw it around the yard kind of a thing.
All right, well, that's all we need from you, John Pennington. Thank you so much. Remember, you can catch him at 11 a.m. on Sundays right here on WATE.
Welcome back to the Orange and White Nation Kickoff Special. I'm joined now by David Ubben, a national college football writer with The Athletic, who's also covered the Vols for a few years now. So, David, you've seen the ups and downs of Tennessee football, including a mass exodus. Was that one of the biggest hits you've seen a program take from the portal?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a perfect storm of having a coaching change and having the immediate eligibility come on at the same time. So it's something that we haven't seen in college sports really a whole lot. And Tennessee obviously had a lot of talent. They're going to have a handful of guys starting in other places, but of course, there was an influx in the transfer portal as well, including Joe Milton, who'll start at quarterback tonight from Michigan.
And now they also lost a lot of the key playmakers from last year: Eric Gray, Ty Chandler, Henry To'oTo'o. So how much do you think that will impact for them this upcoming season?
Well, I think the biggest thing will be on defense. You know, they really have a lot of depth issues on defense, especially at linebacker. The offensive line, especially at offensive tackle, Wanya Morris gone to Oklahoma. They'll be thin there. I think the biggest thing is just losing those top-end guys: Henry To'oTo'o, Wanya Morris, Eric Gray. Guys that are going to make some really big plays throughout the rest of their college career, and not going to be doing it with the Vols. So that's a tough loss.
Now, they also gained some talent. As Josh Heupel said, he views the portal as a double-edged sword, including 5 guys who could possibly start. And, of course, as you mentioned, the Vols starting quarterback from Michigan, Joe Milton. I mean, made up for some of that talent, how big do you think that they ended up taking from that portal?
I think if you're sort of doing the equation, you probably lost more than you gained. But if Joe Milton is the guy that they hope that he can be, I think that can sort of help quite a bit. But, adding Javante Payton from Mississippi State can help you. Caleb Tremblay, a defensive lineman from USC as well. So they have some key pieces, but when you lose the amount of guys, the amount of high-end guys that they did, it's tough to make up for that, especially in depth and in top-end talent.
Now, looking at tonight, what do you think the expectations are for Joe Milton as he makes his debut in orange and white?
I mean, the ceiling is pretty high because Bowling Green is not a great team. They don't have a great defense. They struggled last year. Tennessee can put up some points on the board, really have this offense put on a show. I think 40, 50, 60 points will be within reach against this team and give fans a show and something they haven't seen in a long time, which is a fast-paced, explosive offense that can really take advantage of having better athletes right now.
Thank you, David, for joining us. And Reese, we're going to send it back to you in the studio.
Thank you to you as well, Kellyanne. A tradition that has been around for more than 2 decades is back after a year hiatus. The Vols Walk returns. Jordan Brown is live from where the walk occurred. Jordan, what was it like?
It was electrifying. Fans lined Peyton Manning pass as the players and the band walked down, and it was just like old times. It was like no time had passed. We're going to show you a little bit of video now. Head coach Josh Heupel was there. It was his very first ball walk as Tennessee's head coach. And like I said, many Vols were excited because this was the first ball walk since COVID. And it started up at the Torchbearer statue in Circle Park and followed down through Peyton Manning Pass all the way to Gate 21. And this is just a good way to get the energy up, get everyone excited for the game. And it takes place 2 hours before kickoff usually. Now, this was not the only tradition that's going to be back this year. LED lighting, a fireworks show. We have a DJ. Tailgating is back. You can see people out here with us today. But like I said, that Vol Walk was great. Everyone was excited to be here, excited to see the players, and excited for the Vols to get a win today, hopefully. But for now, I'm going to toss it back to you, Tim and Kellyanne.
Actually, I'll take it. Jordan, thank you. Go get yourself a bratwurst from one of those tailgates. A year off seems like an eternity, but traditions are meant to be kept. Coming up next, we take a look at the Vols' first opponent of the season, plus our game day predictions. Stick with us after the break.
A live look inside of Neyland Stadium. About 35 minutes until kickoff here at Neyland Stadium. Welcome back to the Orange and White Nation 2021 Kickoff Special. The Vols' opponent tonight, Kellyanne, the perfect warm-up opponent for this season.
They absolutely are. The Bowling Green Falcons are projected to be the worst team in the MAC. Heupel mentioned that the Vols will make mistakes in their first game, but they need to limit those errors.
You watched the video of them a year ago. It's a program that got a late start. There was some time off for them, getting them back, in the middle portion of the season. Only got a 5-game schedule out of it. I think athletically you'll see a different group this year than what you saw from them. Just time on task, strength and conditioning, being in better shape.
The Falcons went winless last year, only scoring a combined 57 points through their 5 games played. However, Vols wide receiver Cedric Tillman said they're not taking them lightly. And to note for tonight's game, according to multiple reports, wide receiver Ramel Keaton, wide receiver Jimmy Callaway, and defensive end Byron Young will not be playing tonight against Bowling Green.
It's some guys that they're really going to miss there. Byron Young really came on strong at defensive end there in camp. Reese Van Haften joining us now in studio. And guys, it's time to make our predictions for tonight's game. I'll go ahead and go first. Let's pop that up. I'll go first. I've got the Vols absolutely rolling tonight. Obviously, BG gave up 45 points per game last year, so I think the Vols are going to score early and often. I think Joe Milton throws for over 250 yards in 3 scores. In this game, it is over before halftime. 55-10 is my prediction.
55. Well, here's my prediction. BG is still searching for its first win in over a year, and I don't think they will find it